Let you know when it comes up.
Okay, so we are officially live for episode 2. We're gonna live stream this episode for everybody. Sometimes we get people who jump in here with their own comments and questions, so it's good to have that input during the shows.
All right, all
So
right.
there's a lot going on since the season started. We did that episode before the season started, and then all hell broke loose. It looks like.
Oh yeah,
The Leafs won a couple of games, which was like, okay, so they beat the Montreal Canadiens, they beat the Senators, and then all of a sudden they went on a little bit of a slide there. And in terms of the problems in those games, I mean, where do we even begin with the list of problems?
yeah. I mean, it's kind of tough to expect the Leafs to be in this position so early in the season right now. Or is it our record's like 3-4-1, 8 games in. I know it's still super early. A team may be getting adjusted from the off season, but come on, we can't be doing this bad.
No, I mean, like, it's like so, Michael Hutchinson played two of those games, so he let in some goals. He let in a lot of goals, and then Campbell had a couple of games there where he let in a lot of goals, and then there was that Pittsburgh game that was just a blowout. And
Yeah,
is it me, or are the team accounts on Twitter have this like mandate this season where they're just vicious on Twitter? Like Carolina Hurricanes are ripping Montreal Canadiens a new one with the Kotkaniemi game. Then he scores, and then they have that site that the Habs lose.com. And then the Pittsburgh tweets out, no Malkin, no Crosby, no Letang, no this, no that, no problem.
no
And
problem.
I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my God, these team accounts used to be so friendly. Now it's vicious on Twitter.
Yeah, I mean, I do really appreciate like I do like get that it's a big thing now, It gives more of like personality to teams in general, right? Like before it's really black and white, it's very formal. But like now, you could see a little bit of the enthusiastic side of social media
No, it's good for
from
business
the
because
NHL.
it drums up like the conversations are legit.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's like it's good that way, but it's just wow. Like I
Hmm.
just I didn't see like this coming, but like all the teams are pretty vicious online. But yeah,
Yeah.
so the Leafs right now have some issues with defense.
Hmm.
And the biggest development today was we'll talk about the Riley contract, but now Riley is with Dermott in practice as the top pairing.
Okay.
Brody's moved down to play with Muzzin, and Sandine and Liljegren are the third pairing, and Hall has been scratched.
Right. Yeah. That so I noticed that update on Hall. Just kind of, I kind of expected it because of just the way he's been playing. Obviously you kind of expect that type of thing to happen.
He needs a break, eh?
Also, yeah, also Liljegren because I think Dermott was scratched a couple games back to get Timothy some playing time. So I kind of expected him,
Yeah, the coach
Hall to
said they
come in.
want to keep, Liljegren, you know, playing and kind of involved in case something happens where he needs to play. He's not coming in cold with no
Hmm. Yeah.
experience, which is good. It's not bad. I mean, it's good to rotate your guys on defense. You have some fresh bodies, you have some fresh legs. You kind
Hmm.
of, I think what they're doing right now is with Hall being scratched and Brody playing with Muzzin is they're just switching it up mentally. You need that switch mentally. You need that change, right? So like, if Dermott can continue to skate well and help Riley move the puck, then they can get by.
Right.
But you
Yeah.
can see why they signed Riley too, because they saw what happened at the start of this season in terms of the defense, and they're like, if this guy leaves, we have nothing. And
Absolutely.
then literally, as soon as the defense problem started, boom, here comes a 7.5, 8 year. They're
it,
like,
it,
no,
it
no.
was it was something that was very unexpected, right? Like I was just working and I see, the tweet like Morgan Riley signs an 8-year deal. I was like, whoa, like nobody expected
Yeah, it
this.
really came out of nowhere because once the
Yeah.
season started, you assumed that they weren't going to be talking for a little
Hmm.
bit.
Yeah. That's normally how it goes.
But I think,
Yeah.
the Leafs kind of looked at the Hyman situation. Part of the Hyman situation was they weren't going to give him the full no move,
Hmm.
and Riley got it for the first 6 years.
Yeah.
And I think that makes it easy to sign long term when you know for sure 6 years you're here, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
They can't move you. So maybe they
Exactly.
learned from the Hyman situation, but maybe Hyman is just a guy, you don't know what he's going to be like in 3 4 years. So maybe they just didn't want to give him that, like, kind of lock themselves with that contract.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, you see Hyman, like he's still a great player. Like he's killing it in
He's tapping
Edmonton
him
right
in,
now.
man. But
He's going in,
McDavid's putting it on his
Uh-huh.
feet, putting it in his feet in the crease on the power play, and he's just tapping
Hmm.
them in. And that's
Yeah.
but that's what a playmaker is, right?
Hmm.
This is why, I don't want to talk about Marner anymore. It's literally something I just refuse to talk about. But that's one of the reasons why from day one I never really wanted Marner to get paid more than $7 or $8 million because he doesn't make those plays.
Hmm.
Being as elite and gifted and talented as he is, he just doesn't make it that easy.
Yeah.
And if he was the Backstrom or the McDavid to Matthews, you know, his money would be justified. But like at this point, he doesn't score goals, and it is what it is. He's not a really
Hmm.
a goal scorer. So
Yeah.
no,
And that's the thing. Like when a lot of people think of Marner, he's not. A lot of people don't associate goals with him. He is the playmaker of that line. Um, and he how many assists did he have last season? Like 60, 70 assists or something like that. But he's always a leader in assists. So
but the
it,
thing is,
it's
he just it's one of those things where it's like if you're gonna win a Stanley Cup, can you have a guy on the top line that has zero power play goals, zero playoff goals,
probably not.
zero
I
power play, zero playoff, 0 0 0 across the board?
hmm
Like, can you really have a top line where there's zero scoring threat there? I
No,
I don't
absolutely
know.
not.
I don't think Matthews can withstand something like that. Like he
Yeah.
just gets keyed in on and he gets killed out there.
And that's something Marner definitely needs to work on is shooting. Like he has a good shot. It's just his accuracy I find is quite off. He'll
And
be shooting. Like I noticed like he likes to shoot and I give him that.
well,
Like,
he leads
at least
he
he's
he,
trying.
he leads the
But like,
Leafs in shots on goal apparently.
right?
So
Yeah, it is better that he's taken, a little bit more of his game into shooting rather than always passing first.
but it's not just
Um,
about just sheer amount of shots on net. Obviously, if you put a lot
mhm.
of shots on net, you're going to get some goals. And he's going to
Yeah.
score, 10 to 15 or 16, usually around 16, 18, whatever he is.
Hmm.
But this is where, I had problems with the whole conversation about Nylander and Marner back in the day. It was always Nylander doesn't go to the dirty areas. He's afraid in front of the net. He doesn't want to score in front of the net. But if Marner doesn't score goals ever, it's because he never goes there either. Like, Marner does it to put him in the middle of that power play. They were like, we got to get him in front of the net because he can move the puck. And then that turned out to be an utter failure. And now Nylander is there. So it's like, you know, it's okay to be a perimeter guy when you're a playmaker. You just have to be like a McDavid level playmaker because it doesn't matter where he is on the ice. He gets the puck into on sticks in the net,
Yeah.
and it doesn't matter. Like Leon Draisaitl, literally, when I watch his goals, I'm like McDavid put it right on his toe and he put it in the back of the net, and the goalie was
Hmm.
nowhere to be found. That's a playmaker. Like Leon Draisaitl doesn't have to try hard to score 40 goals. It's like
Hmm.
it's on a tee for him.
Yeah.
Sort of like what Backstrom used to do for Obi back in the day. But
Hmm.
that's the only reason why I just said, like if you're gonna pay for goals, yes, but you I watch, I watch a crazy amount of hockey, and there's like 6, 7, 8 goals almost a game. Like to play the over or under on pro line, pretty much you have to go over every night, every game. But it's like I watch all these goals, and there's a lot of passes being made and a lot of goals being scored, and none of these guys are playmakers. But NHL players they know how to pass the puck. To pay $11 million for playmaking is one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen in my entire life. That's the only problem I've ever had with Marner is
Hmm.
why would you pay that much for passing? I mean, the first game of the season, Riley puts it on Nylander's stick. Nylander goes top corner and they win the game. Like you don't need to pay $11 million for passing. Pay it to go get goal scorers that are 11 million. Trade Marner for like Eichel and score 40 goals, and you don't ever have to worry about the contract ever again. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm. Yeah, there's some trade talks heating up again on the Eichel front
Yeah, Eichel's going
with
like
Vegas.
Calgary is heating up. I read so much about Calgary and
Hmm.
Eichel. I was like,
Yeah,
Calgary is hot right now.
I think the latest is either Calgary or Vegas.
I heard the
Literally
Anaheim
2 hours
Ducks
ago.
might be in there too.
Could be. Yeah. I think Ducks would be a good spot because I mean Ducks, I don't really know what their situation is. Are they still in a rebuild or like
They're
what are they doing?
they're retooling slash rebuilding
Retooling.
it, and
Okay.
they've made Gibson available.
Oh, I thought he was like fully like,
No,
untouchable
they're
before.
they're willing to they're willing
Okay.
to listen on a bunch of guys. They're not set on anybody. They know they have to get younger and more talented. And
Hmm.
Gibson is like signed for 6 or 7 more years at like
Okay.
$6 million, something like that. So
And they got some young guys, Drysdale,
yeah, they
Terry,
have some young guys.
Steele.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Eichel would fit in really well. I don't want Eichel going to Vegas just because, man, that's
I
annoying. I
don't know
hate
how
that.
Vegas makes it work under the cap. They're already like so much
They
over the
are.
cap. I don't know
So,
how it's possible for them to add a $10 million contract.
well, they would have to move somebody like, obviously they'll have to give somebody, big
They'll have to
pieces.
trade at least two $5 million contracts, which is like a
Hmm.
Marchessault and like a Tuck, and then they
Yeah.
would probably have to put like I know they have some LTIR money,
Hmm.
but they
From
all
Pacioretty.
yeah, but like Pacioretty's hurt and so is Stone, I believe, at the moment, but only one
Hmm.
of them is on LTIR, so their cap situation is like I don't know how they can add Petrangelo and then go out and get Eichel too. It would piss me off if they didn't.
Yeah.
Like screw
It's like
Vegas.
it's so easy for them, man. Like they
No,
just
I
instantly
don't know
became
how
really
they
good.
make it work under the cap. Like right now, I
Yeah.
see the Leafs add Morgan Riley. So we're talking about contracts. We might as well talk about Morgan
Hmm.
Riley. And I have absolutely nothing bad to say about the contract.
Hmm.
Usually when a Leaf signs a contract, I ask myself three questions. If he goes to UFA, would he have gotten paid more? And
Probably.
it absolutely he
Mhm.
would have gotten
Yeah.
paid more.
Hmm.
So I see that as a win for the Leafs because they signed him for less. And
Hmm.
then how many teams are going to be in it on that bidding war? Multiple teams for sure. And so I see it as a win-win because they got a hometown discount. They got the full 8 years. He's going
Hmm.
to be 35 when the contract ends. So, he's going to be a Leaf for life. And if he does play the full 8 years and he stays relatively healthy, he's going to pass George Armstrong for 1,100 games as a Maple Leaf. He would have
That's
played the
right.
most games ever. He's going to hit 1,300 games apparently.
Yeah.
So
Like
his legacy is
this, he'll retire a Leaf. Like you can just
yeah,
tell he
absolutely.
wants to stay here, and he did take that discount that many people even didn't think he was going to take because everyone's like,
Yeah,
you know what,
that's what I was worried about. I was like, how?
he's he's
So
due for a payday, right? So
so yeah, now it becomes they're officially so the cap is going to go up by 1 million, and Kessel's
okay,
1.2 comes off, so there's 2.2 million.
is that
And
cap increase confirmed
yes,
or is that projected?
yeah,
So
the
80.
NHL put out a release that says the cap is going to go up by 1 million for 4 years straight.
Oh shit.
And
Okay.
then after that, it's going to jump. There's a huge jump coming, and it's going to be something
Mm.
around 90 million.
Wow. Okay. So no, 82.5, eh?
But
I mean, obviously it's
here's the bad side to that story.
yeah.
The bad side to that story is Tavares has 2 years left, and the year after that, the year after he becomes a UFA, Nylander and Matthews are UFA at the same time.
Yep. I think yeah,
So
that's gonna be
I'm really
tough.
hoping that the NHLPA uses that 5% as because we
That,
need every goddamn penny.
dude, these guys are gonna want insane dollars. And by the time I think McDavid also is up, I think the year after that, right? Year or two.
Yeah, oh,
He signed a max
McDavid's
deal.
got a couple of years after
He's
that.
still also okay. Yeah, man, this guy's gonna sign like a 16 million AAV or some shit, right? Like,
No, the cap won't be that high.
imagine.
So in 3 years, the cap is going to be 3 million more. So if we're at 81.5 now, it's going to be at 84 and a half then. So
Isn't mhm,
based on Matthews always negotiating on the cap percentage, which is 13.5%, he's going to get a
mhm.
modest raise, but it's going to take up the same amount of cap as it's taking up now.
Okay. So it'll in dollars it'll look a lot more,
In
but
in
in
dollars, it'll be like
percentages, yeah.
maybe $500,000 more. I don't know
Okay.
what 3% of whatever it is
90,
80. So if he's
80.
got 13.5% of 81.5,
Mm-hmm.
if he takes 13.5% of 84 and a half, I think it's less than $1 million raise.
Okay, okay. I thought you were referring to the 90 million jump,
No.
like 90,
His
95.
So
Okay.
that's the good thing is he's up before the $90 million jump.
Okay. That is good news. What are your thoughts on if on his willingness to go back to Arizona?
So I've looked at it. So Arizona this offseason traded away Connor Garland,
Hmm.
Oliver Ekman Larson, Antti Ranta, Darcy Kemper. They got rid of everything and they took on some shit salaries to get to the cap floor. They have
Hmm.
no desire to win games at all. They're
Did,
literally like I looked at their roster the other night. They were playing who were they playing?
oh,
I don't know who they were playing, but I looked at the roster that was on the ice and I was like, these I don't know why they're in the NHL. I know their owner who was a big who had a big part in making gambling legal in Arizona,
mhm.
loves to keep them there just because of the gambling. He makes tons of money. He has no willingness to spend money. So their lease is up in Scottsdale. The city of
Mhm.
Scottsdale said you're out. We are not renewing it. You're not playing hockey here anymore. So they don't have a stadium 2 years from now. They probably will sign a contract for this like older stadium. It's called like Veterans something arena, or it's an NHL team should not be playing in an arena like that.
Mhm.
And I just don't see Matthews, who cares about the brand of his name, who wants to make money. I First of all, I don't see Arizona paying him the money that he wants because he wants it all up front. It's not salary.
Mhm.
And then he's gonna say, "Okay, well, who are you putting around me to win?" And they're gonna be like, we can't even get to the cap floor, bro." I don't know if you're expecting us to trade for Tarasenko or maybe Patty Kane. We'll bring Patty Kane here, but like at the end of the day, Arizona's gonna be like, "We're not building. We just want you here to make money on gambling, and that's it." I see
Yeah.
zero chance of him going there.
Okay.
Zero chance. Like honestly, that's not a conversation that people should be having.
Yeah. There were talks I think over the
Yeah, I
summer
think
about
people like
that.
to talk about it because he really loves the United States.
Of course, right? And
Because
it's his hometown, right? Like you can't deny that
yeah,
there may be something
but
there.
there has to be a legitimate hockey option there. And right
Yeah.
now, they don't have a stadium. There's talks of them moving to Houston actually,
Right. Yeah.
but
Houston or Quebec, something like that.
Canada's not an option.
No?
No, Canada's not an option. But like
What is that?
I know just based on the TV markets in the United States, when you sign a TV contract with ESPN, NBC, whoever it is, you have to have certain teams in certain markets, and Phoenix is a city in that part of the country in the United States where you have to have a team to get the certain amount of ratings in certain areas. So the NHL put that team there not because it's going to be viable or making money. They know that they have to have a team there. That's why Houston is the only option right now because it's relatively close and you still keep that area of the TV market happy.
Houston would be kind of cool because one, they already have a basketball team there too, and they could kind of
Well,
fall
listen,
under that
it'd be a
umbrella.
huge rivalry with the
And it
Dallas
would.
Stars.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I keep forgetting the Dallas Stars. They're also in Texas. I was like, Houston, Texas, Dallas, Texas. That is true.
Yeah,
That would be
imagine
kind of cool.
Texas having two teams and we can't have one in Toronto. Come on.
So some people are saying Hamilton
Only in the NHL
or
would
something
this
like
be like a
that.
legitimate thing. It's like Toronto can't have a team, Quebec can't have a team, but Texas has two.
Yeah, that would be kind of cool. Yeah, like dude, I honestly didn't even know that Coyotes haven't even won a game because I'm looking at the record right now, 0-6-1.
Yeah, they
No,
just they
that's not it.
legitimately have zero inkling to win games. And
And same with the Kings.
I know they've already put out that Phil Kessel is available because his contract ends this year.
I'll be down to get Kissel back if he's at a good
Listen, man,
price. We're already paying
if
him. So,
Arizona says so they got Kessel at $6 million.
hmm
If they're like, we'll hold on to four and you get him for two, I'd be
hmm
like, bring him over because that would be a legitimate guy who could make some nice passes and risk the puck in the net on the power play. And you know, that's the guy who should be on the top line. You know, we've played 8 games. We've realized that Zach Hyman was 1 in a million, and you can't just put Nick Ritchie on the top line.
Dude, there's something about Richie that pisses me off. Like this guy will go into the like he'll step on the ice and make some bonehead plays, and I'm like, what are you doing, dude?
Well,
Like,
that's the thing. It's unfortunately
like
people in Toronto think you got to have a big power forward there. Yeah, if his hands are gifted like James Van Reem's, like okay.
hmm
If his hands are gifted like like not Phil Kessel because he's not really that big. But if you want to go out and get a big guy, like Edmonton said, okay, obviously Cassian's not working on the top line. Lucic
hmm
didn't work on the top line. Like people have tried putting big guys with skilled people. 100 years of the NHL tells us two things. You can't put meatheads with skilled superstars. Only time it worked was when Marty McSorley was playing with Gretzky, and Gretzky was good
hmm
enough to be like a whole line by himself.
He carries, yeah.
Hey, you just had Marty McSorley out there to protect him. But like, but it's like, you know, one thing is you can't put big slow guys. Joe Thornton was slow, but he's gifted, but he was slow and he didn't work out on the top line last year either.
hmm
So, you got to put speed with speed. Unfortunately, Matthews and Nylander are in the zone buzzing, and Nick Ritchie can't catch up to them. He's like, hold on, guys, I'll be there in a minute.
Yeah, like Richie, like I always thought of him as like, a decent player. I mean, obviously I haven't watched much of him because I only
Yeah,
watch the Leafs. I
yeah,
rarely watch other teams.
yeah.
But I'm like, okay, it's good we acquired him and with Kasha as well. But
See,
like
Kasha,
now
he
he's
skates
not bad.
fast.
Kasha's all
He
right.
gets on
Like,
the forecheck and he starts hitting people, and then he puts the puck on Camp's stick, and Camp scored that goal in Chicago.
oh,
And I was like, this is okay.
that was a
I'm okay
Turner.
with this third line. I'm okay with
Yeah.
this third line. 10 or 15 goals, that's all I need all season. Just every once in a while, chip in a goal, and we're good to go.
hmm
But
Yeah.
you put Richie on the fourth line with Simmons and Spezza, and all of a sudden he looked so much better because
Of
he's
course.
not behind the play anymore.
Yeah.
Spezza's obviously the fastest guy on that line, but
hmm
Simmons gets on the forecheck. Nick Ritchie comes in there. He's banging too. They're moving the puck around. Spezza's got 3 goals or whatever. And I'm like, okay, that line causes enough havoc where Jason Spezza can pot a goal every now and then when you need some supplemental scoring. So I'm okay with that fourth line now. Although we paid Nick Ritchie $2 million, he's okay on the fourth line. That's where he has to be.
Yeah, we better get that $2 million out of him. Guy needs to put up at least 20 points.
He will. You know what? Because when in the playoffs, when the game slows down,
Yeah.
He'll be more effective in the grinding games.
S-
But we also are we're still waiting for Mikheyev to come back too.
I honestly forgot about Mikheyev. Like, I forgot that guy's still on the Leafs. I thought he went back to Russia or
Don't go
something.
back to Russia, please. Don't go back.
Like, dude, the standings, the Atlantic Division standings is so backwards. It's not even funny. Like,
Buffalo's
Panthers,
winning games.
Buffalo, and Detroit
Dude,
are
I am
sitting in the
so
top
upset.
three.
I forgot to send you this. I bought a Pro Line ticket, right?
Okay.
So when the Leafs were playing Carolina, I said I already know what's gonna happen, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Freddie's gonna be amazing, and the Leafs are gonna lose. So I went and bought a Pro Line ticket. There's 6 teams on my Pro Line ticket. I put $20 on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I picked Washington to beat Ottawa, which they did. Florida to beat Arizona, which they did. Calgary to beat New York, which they did. Columbus beat Dallas, which they did. Carolina beat Toronto, and I was like, I'm good to go. I put $20 down. It was going to give me $367. Okay. So I forgot to check one last game. I look at the score. I bet Tampa to beat the Buffalo Sabres. They lost to the Sabres 5-1.
Yeah.
And I was like, I lost $367 because the defending Stanley Cup champions got smoked by the Sabres. You
Back
know
to
how
back.
upset I was? I went into my garage and I just started chucking things.
That's yeah.
I was
That's
like,
that's hockey. Like that's what I really like about hockey is like you can never guarantee 100% who's gonna win.
I was so
Because
pissed off, man.
other sports you probably can.
I've never been so mad at the Tampa Bay Lightning in my entire life.
Like Vasilevsky, what are you doing, buddy? Like,
I'm like, but 5-1 against the Sabres? Did you guys even show up to the stadium?
hmm I think Kucherov is up, but still, like even without Kucherov, it's the Sabres, dude. Like they don't have Eichel.
Yeah, but the next night they beat the Pittsburgh Penguins like 4-1, and I was like, oh, you couldn't have just beat the Sabres? Like,
Yeah.
come on. I was so upset. But yeah, in general, like that's what's happening in hockey right now is the Sabres are playing good. Montreal Canadiens are trash. I love it. I absolutely love how much trash the Montreal Canadiens are. It's the only thing. Leafs can literally lose 10 in a row, but as long as Montreal is losing, when they lost to the Kraken the other night, man, I was jumping up and down, and my wife's like, "Is the Leafs playing? Did like Matthew score a hat trick or something?" I'm like, "No, the Montreal Canadiens lost to the."
It's like another form of winning for us, you
It's
know?
like it
Like
makes my heart feel so good.
yeah.
Like I love the like how bad they came out of the gate
hmm
at the beginning of the season, just trash.
0 and
Because
5.
yeah, because all these Montreal Canadiens fans that were chirping me in the off season, I made bets. I said, listen, put money down. I'll save this tweet right now. I
hmm
bet you that Montreal Canadiens are going to be less than 500 and they're not going to make the playoffs. And they're like, bet. I'm going to get paid in May, man. I'm telling you.
Dude, I'm saying the Leafs need to pick up their shit. Otherwise, we're not even gonna make the
Oh,
playoffs.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because like the way Panthers are playing, the way Lightning, I know they're gonna make the playoffs. You can't. That's not a
Well, I
a
think
bottom
one
seed
one
team.
thing about the Tampa Bay Lightning right now that I notice when I watch their games when they started out poorly is
hmm
they had depth guys that were skilled. So they had the Tyler Johnsons and all these players that were like $5 million player, but they were skilled. Even though they were third and fourth line on the team, these guys had a ton of skill and they could score if they had the opportunities. And that's what really accelerates them in the playoffs.
hmm
Now that all those depth players are gone and they've replaced those depth players, but the skill is missing. They have third and fourth lines, but the skill is no longer there and they're struggling because it's how many times can Stamkos score? Stamkos is not a 65 goal scorer anymore. Sure, he can still score 30 and 40 goals, and point is good, but those guys can't carry the team every night, and they don't have the third and fourth line skill guys anymore. And now they have to play with grunts.
hmm
And they're really struggling right off the bat. And I think It's one of those things that like Chicago was like, yeah, we got Marc-Andre Fleury, we got Seth Jones at 9 million, we got DeBrincat, we got Taves, we got Kane, and then all of a sudden they came out of the gate and they started losing too because some of that skill is gone, right?
Hmm.
And that's I think people are going to start understanding the Leafs a little bit better because the Leafs bottom half of their lineup is not skilled.
It's just fill-in guys,
Well, like guys like Mikheyev and Ingvald, they can score,
Hmm.
right? And Spezza can score, and Kasha, Kampf. These guys can score every once in a while. Kerfoot is there too, but the thing is, the Leafs don't really play a system that benefits those guys. They play a system that benefits the top end guys. So
Hmm.
at the end of the day, when we expect Kerfoot to score 20 goals and we expect um, Mikheyev to score 20 goals, those guys don't get the offensive zone starts. They don't get the good matchups on defense. And so we just expect a little too much out of out of those guys, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But
Yeah, and like I think I did notice like back when Babcock, had the Leafs, like you could see like a lot more like an even playing field. Which it didn't really benefit the big guys because obviously it really pissed off
yeah,
Marner,
because
Matthews, like they
Marner
weren't
Matthews
happy.
weren't playing 23,
Yeah,
24 minutes. They were playing
exactly.
19 minutes and Babcock's like, I want to roll full four lines.
Yeah.
And now Keefe is like, yeah, I'm gonna load up.
Yeah.
But I like that Marner is not only just stuck on that top line. I like the fact that he's playing with Tavares. Tavares is a very skilled guy. We saw it by the goal in Chicago.
That was amazing, man. That backhand.
Yeah, it's
Oh.
see, this is what I love about Tavares, and a lot of people don't ever really appreciate this. But like, this
Hmm.
guy's a grinder. He can score goals, and when he sees that he needs a little extra, the guy's on top of him, but he'll go down to his knee just to get that up into the top corner. And he's a grinder. He knows how to get goals. I mean, this guy's played 900 games in the NHL. He's got 900 points. He's
Hmm.
con- he's he's very consistent. I have no worries about how much money he makes or whether he's going to score or get points. He's played 200 games as a Leaf. He's got 200 points. I don't worry about Tavares. People were freaking out about Tavares last year. I'm like, over what? He had a huge slump, and he's still a point per game player.
Tavares will be good. I think up until like maybe the last year, we may expect a little drop, but I think Tavares is still going to be a great player throughout his contract, and we may even see, you know, a small extension at the end too, which would be kind of cool.
Yeah, I think, Tavares towards the end of his career, he's going to be a lot like a Joe Pavelski or
Hmm.
these guys that are a little bit older, but they grind out points and they grind out goals. Like Jerome McGillna was a very prolific goal scorer, but towards the end of his career, he couldn't score goals like that anymore. He couldn't just fly down the wing and wrist the top corner. So he
Hmm.
started grinding out goals and still helping teams. So even though Tavares might not be scoring 30 to 40 goals every single year, he's the kind of guy you need to grind out games. He knows how to hold the puck down low. He knows how to cycle it. He does all these things well. I have no issues with Tavares. He's going to be a Leaf until he retires, and so is Morgan Riley. I
So is
honestly think
Matthews.
Matthews is going to be the same thing.
So is Matthews. Let's
Yeah,
hope.
Matthews is going to be 26 when his contract ends, and he's going to sign an 8-year deal, which is going to take him to 34.
Yeah. So I really think the Leafs are gonna make a push for McDavid whenever his contract is up, if not a year or two before his contract ends. So McDavid is entering his prime, right? Like he's still super young, right? Like 24 years old.
Yep.
And by the time his contract ends, he'll probably be 28,
Yeah, but
29.
but here's the problem with McDavid. Uh, the Edmonton Oilers will be able to negotiate with him for the full last year of the deal. So soon as July 1st hits on your last year, you can start negotiations on your next contract.
Mhm.
So Edmonton's gonna have a year where they're throwing Gretzky, Messier, Yari Curry, you know,
All those
all
numbers.
these guys. No, no, all these guys are gonna be sitting down and talking with him and like, hey man, this is your legacy as an Oiler. Look at our legacies. You're gonna get paid top dollar. Like he's gonna have a, and if he says no even once, Edmonton is gonna go into a full panic.
Yeah.
So I don't see how McDavid can ride out the last year of his contract and keep it quiet. Like Tavares did a really good job in New York. He's like, yeah, don't worry about it. Just the off season, it's gonna come. We're gonna negotiate. Everything's gonna be okay. And then the negotiations came, and they were like, here's 13 and a half. And he's like, I don't want it. And they're like, what? What do you
The
mean you don't
Sharks,
want
right?
13 and a half?
13
No,
and a half.
New
Or
York
was that New York?
Islanders were at 13 and a half, and so were the Sharks.
Damn.
Yeah, so I was like, I was shocked when I heard he didn't take the offer from New York. I'm like, oh my God, there's a chance. That's the first time I ever had hope that like Tavares would come to Toronto. As soon as I heard that like he got a contract offer and he said no, I'm like, what?
Man, that day will still be imprinted in my mind. Like, it's such an amazing feeling, like that day that Tavares
Listen,
signed the deal in Toronto.
if you go to July 1st before midnight, so technically the day before July 1st, when everybody was talking about it, I opened up my phone and I said, John Tavares has signed with the Toronto Maple Leafs. And then I closed my phone and then I went to bed. I legitimately tweeted out, John Tavares has officially signed with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Check it out on Twitter. I was the first one to say it officially. And
Really?
then the next day, I woke up and they're like, John Tavares is on his way to Toronto. I was like, what? I
Yeah.
manifested that shit.
Yeah.
No, I was like, I need this to happen. No, I swear to God, if you look on my timeline on July 1st, I tweeted out, I said, John Tavares is officially signed with the Toronto Maple Leaf. Everybody started messaging me. I'm like, well, I didn't reply to anybody because I was like, it's not like I don't have it as like an official source, but
Yeah.
I'm like, this is what's gonna happen today. And I put it out there in the world.
And it happened to be true.
Yeah, it just happened to turn out that way. It was
Yeah.
freaking amazing.
Yeah.
Did I tell you I have so my wife's boss is super rich
Mhm.
and his cottage is connected to McDavid's cottage.
Oh, nice.
They share
That's
the
kinda
same
cool.
they share the same driveway. So,
Nice.
so my wife is like, the boss is inviting everybody up in the office for drinks. I said, okay.
Oh, that's kind of dope.
She didn't tell me anything about McDavid. I was so upset at her. I was like, you're going to be on McDavid's technically his property. And I'm like, I have 1,000,001 playing cards that he could sign and I could be rich. She goes there and she's like, oh, she sends me a picture of a cottage. I'm like, what is this? She's like, oh, that's McDavid's cottage. I said, what? She's like, yeah, I'm on the dock. I'm on my boss's cottage, and technically it's her boss's land, but he drew the line and sold it, and McDavid bought it, and there's the cut. I'm like, first of all, we're never talking again. I'm like, you know how big of a deal this is. She's like, so this was Friday night, and she's like, okay, we're coming back, and everyone gets to bring their spouses up the next day.
Oh, interesting.
Okay, so 1,000,000 shit goes wrong in my life, obviously. So I
Yeah.
didn't get to go.
Oh, that's too bad.
Her colleagues, McDavid comes over while they're sitting next to the fire on the property. McDavid comes over and goes, hey, you guys want to come over for a drink? He invited everybody over.
Oh man. And you couldn't experience
I
that.
have an official video of McDavid doing karaoke singing Celine Dion.
What? Maybe we gotta play that one day.
No, I can't do it on air. I can't. I can't betray the man like that. He's
Of course,
a
of
Toronto
course.
boy. I can't do that to him.
Yeah.
If
And that's why he's
if he
coming
was
to
like
the
from
Leafs.
Montreal, I would have done it.
Gotcha. Okay.
Maybe I'll show you offline one time.
Sure. Yeah, and honestly, I have a strong feeling McDavid will sign with the Leafs. Same way Tavares did with the Islanders.
Yeah,
He's
but
gonna sign
imagine
with the
how
Leafs.
much salary they have to open up.
I don't care. Open
The
up
indication
the bank
is
blank
the
check.
Leafs have traded both Matthews and Mitch Marner, and you're like, oh my God, McDavid's coming to town.
Pretty much. If Matthews ever gets traded, just know that McDavid is part of that deal.
Matthews has been traded to the Buffalo Sabres.
For Eichel, imagine. Oh
Bro,
my
you know
god,
how
that'd be
fast I
nuts.
would trade Marner for Eichel straight up? Not even
Go
I
center.
not even I would throw in stuff. I'm like, you want Jack Campbell? Take him too. We'll take Craig
Craig
Anderson
Anderson.
because
Oh
he's killing
god.
it right now. Because he's killing it right now.
He is. He's carrying the Sabres on their
He's
back.
carrying. I'm like,
On his back.
come
Yeah.
carry the Leafs for a little bit. Peter
Man.
Mrazek will be back in no time.
He's back tomorrow, actually. I think he's back in net.
Get the hell out of here.
Yeah, Mrazek's playing tomorrow.
Oh, I didn't even see that. I was looking
Yeah.
for the update because he was practicing, and I'm like, they
Mhm.
haven't said about who's going to start. But you know what bothers me right now? But what bothers me is so like Mrazek had a pretty good game. He was getting bombarded, and then he hurt his groin.
Oh yeah,
And then I was like, but why'd you got to do that to him?
yeah.
And then like Campbell starts a game. So like the Leafs had like Monday to Friday off. Campbell plays a game, gets lit up, and they're like, "Oh yeah, Campbell has a maintenance day. He's not practicing today." I'm like, "Are we going through this again like last
this
season?
is
This guy can't practice and he can't play back to back. We're so screwed."
yeah.
And Freddie is 6-0 in Carolina. Do you know
When
how? Do
I
you know how upset I am? I message
That's
my
so
buddies
painful.
all the time.
Hmm.
But you know, honestly, I watch the Carolina games and I'm rooting for Fred. Like I'm gonna buy a Freddie Carolina jersey.
Hmm.
I want the
Yeah.
man. He's gonna go be up for a Vesna. He's got Antti Ranta behind him. Together, they're gonna go for the Jennings for the lowest goals against in the NHL. I believe that's gonna happen with everything in my heart. I believe he's gonna win
Hmm.
a Jennings this year. And I'm like, oh, it's perfect. It's exactly what's meant to happen.
Just leave the Leafs
It's
and then
just everything
instantly
everything they
Vezina
said he
nomination.
can't do in Toronto, he's just gonna go and do somewhere else, like every time a player leaves Toronto.
Yeah, like Hyman and Anderson, like both of them are just like
Hyman,
living
you
out
Hyman you can live
everything,
without, but like you can't
So
be you
sad.
can't be like I'm gonna win the Stanley Cup and then put a small goal. Here's 105 years of the NHL. So the
Hmm.
NHL is 105 years old, I believe. In the history of 105 years, how many small goalies do you know that were legit Hall of Fame?
Small goalies.
Other than Hasek and Jonathan Quick, I can't think of any other small goalies.
Yeah.
Like
I literally just
I'm not talking
picture
about Johnny
Hasek.
Bauer when everybody was small because their equipment was small. But I'm saying in the modern NHL, once Patrick Waugh came in 1993 or no 1983 and invented the butterfly. Like since butterfly goalies became a thing, I can't think of a small goalie other than Quick and Hasek that were good in the NHL. And the Leafs are like, forget it. We're just gonna defy 105 years worth of logic, and we're just gonna put Campbell in there. I'm like, I
Hmm.
get it. He's a good goalie, but you like it's like the Edmonton Oilers saying we're gonna win a Stanley Cup, but the 39-year-old Mike Smith is gonna be in there. It doesn't make any sense. But like John Gibson is available, man. Go get him.
Yeah, I wonder what's gonna happen with Anaheim. That's gonna be super interesting.
I love John
I
Gibson, man. John Gibson is
he's
such a
really good.
good goalie.
He's a good goalie.
And he signed long term, like 6 or 7 more years. Like
Hmm.
if you're gonna sign Riley for another 8 years, if you got Tavares until well, Tavares already 30 years old, and if his contract ends in 2 seasons, sure they probably give him some sort of a bridge deal to
Hmm.
retirement. But like, you're gonna re-sign Matthews, Marner, Nylander's. Oh, I can't even think of the pay raise that Nylander's gonna get.
Nylander's gonna hold out again. I'm telling you.
No, there's no way they're gonna do that to Nylander again.
Imagine.
Marner's gonna be gone by then, and they'll just give him his money.
Yeah,
But
I
it
think Marner might even leave because he's like,
at this
this guy
point,
just wants his paycheck, dude.
he's so deep in the hole that like there's no way.
Yeah, like back when Nylander was having the holdout issue, all the way until like the last hour, I think, right
Yeah,
before he signed.
yeah.
Um,
I remember in
everyone's just
December,
like hating
December
on him
was the
so much,
deadline.
and like everyone's like, "Oh, is he gonna sign? Is he gonna sign?" And he ends up signing, which is right, like one of the craziest things I've experienced, right? Um,
One of the things I didn't
like
like about signing him last minute was you just burned a year of that contract.
yeah, and he was gone for half a year, right?
And
So it
like
kind of sucked.
that season was done and the Leafs were rebuilding and they're not, they weren't going to win a Stanley Cup that year, so why burn a year?
Hmm. Was that the year we faced Washington?
That
And what was it the year
was
before?
No, it wasn't. No, it was after that. Washington was the first year, and Matthews came in the NHL in his rookie
Oh,
year.
okay, okay.
So that was the year after.
Gotcha. So probably one of the Boston Game Sevens.
Yeah, yeah,
Man, there's so many. It's so sad, dude.
yeah. There's but it is what it is. So we talked about a little bit about defense. We got goaltending. So it really comes down to what happens this off season. Like people keep saying this is something everybody's saying. I don't know why they're saying this, but it's if they don't do anything this year, you got to trade somebody.
Like one of the top four.
Yeah, but here's the thing: like the Leafs could legitimately make the playoffs and play Tampa in the first round. If you lose to Tampa in 7 games, that's not a disappointment. They won the Stanley Cup 2 years in a row. That's a
Hmm.
good team that you lost to. I understand that it's another year the Leafs lost in the first round, but are you going to trade Mitch Marner and get picks and prospects back just because you lost to Tampa? I don't think that's a I don't think that's a good mindset to have in Toronto. I think that's a dangerous mindset. You can't just be trading away superstar players. I understand that like if you lose to Columbus again or some shit team like Montreal, I get it then. But if you play Tampa in the first round, which could legitimately happen, or the Florida Panthers, and it's a tough 7 game series, and you go straight to 7 games, but you lose, I don't think you can hang your head by losing to a team that could potentially win the Stanley Cup again.
It, I don't even know. Like,
Because a lot of teams lost to Tampa last year in the playoffs, like Florida. Florida played amazing against Tampa in the playoffs last year. When they lost to Tampa, they didn't see it as a failure. They
mhm.
saw it as we can play with the best of the best. That's what they said. And I liked that mindset. They were like, we scored six goals a games almost. Like they scored 5 goals in one game, they scored 6 goals the next game on Vasilevsky, and all of a sudden, Florida was like, we can contend,
Hmm.
and that's a good mindset to have because it's unfortunately you lost to the team that's the best in the NHL. That's you can't control that.
Yeah.
But it's a really weird mindset in Toronto this year. It's like win a playoff round or bust. You can't just trade away talent just because you lost to a good team. I think people in this town need to understand that you can play good and still lose to a good team.
Yeah, and that's something that is kind of like clouding their judgment on hockey
Yeah, it's
is there's always going to be
disappointment.
games.
It's
There's
the
always going to be games like
yeah.
where you lose and you can't do anything about it because the team could be playing great and they'll still lose. That's what sports are, right? Like you can play
Yeah,
amazing and
yeah,
still lose.
absolutely. You see it in all sorts of sports. You see it in basketball where like the Lakers the other day went up against Golden State and I watched that game and those two teams going at it. And, somebody hits a three and then all of a sudden the Lakers lose by one shot at the end of the game. Yeah, you lost that game, but it's two good teams going at it. Unfortunately, one person has to lose. That's just the way
Hmm.
sports is. But you can't just get upset because you lost. The people in Toronto just hate the word losing. But it's losing. Losing is what the Montreal Canadiens are doing. So when I think of losing, I
Yeah.
think of the Montreal Canadiens. When I think of the Leafs, I think, guys, you guys are veterans now. I can't call you a kid anymore. Like Matthews is 24,
This is his
Nylander's
like
24, Marner's 24. Like these guys aren't kids anymore. Okay, you guys are vets. You've been in the NHL 5 years. Let's get it together. And you need to figure out, like in that Chicago game, when I was watching it, I was like, okay, they're 2 goals down and this is bad. But then all of a sudden, Matthew started yelling at people on the bench, and I was like, oh my god, it's finally going to happen.
yeah, when I saw that, I was like, he's finally not just taking charge, but he's like addressing the problem, right? Like, and that's
Yeah,
what
he gave it. He gave it to Justin Hall on the bench.
yeah.
So good on that
I wish we
stupid
could have
play.
known. I wish we could have known what he said, but
Oh, I could tell you what he said right now.
yeah.
Yeah, when Justin Hall was skating towards the blue line, and then
Hmm.
he made 2 extra moves, like a backhand forehand, like deke, and then he put Matthews offside when he's just supposed to put the puck into the zone, ring it off the boards, and get it to Matthews on the other side. That's his job. And then Matthews went to the bench and he's like, "Move the puck." I was like, "Yes, man. Tell Justin Hall, you're not playing good right now and you're overthinking it. Just put the puck in the zone and let the boys
Hmm.
do their work." And then all of a sudden, there was one play where Justin Hall, the puck was in the corner. He was skating to get the puck, but then he got scared and he turned around and he started playing a 2-on-1 that wasn't even there. There was no other Chicago Blackhawk player there. He started playing a 2-on-1. There was no 2-on-1, and then you saw Matthews yelling again. He's like, "Go get the puck." He's like, "Don't play scared." And then you saw it after the first period, they had a talk in the dressing room, and then they came out. They started playing hockey again. Like
Hmm.
I put it out on Twitter. I tweeted out. I go, I don't know if you've seen the movie with Tom Cruise called Days of Thunder.
Probably, I don't think so.
He's a race car driver.
Hmm.
So in that movie, Tom Cruise, he has a bad accident. He's one of the best race car drivers in the world. He has a bad accident, and then every time he gets in the car, he sabotages himself and he redlines the car, and the engine blows up so he can just get out of the car and lose the race.
Right.
And eventually, one of the old crew members of his NASCAR crew tells him, "Listen, I can't put you in the car again." And Tom Cruise says, "But I don't know how to do anything else." And then he gets in the car, and then there's an accident, but he drives past the accident. And as soon as he gets to the other side, he's like, "It's over. I'm going to win this race." And he puts it in gear and he just destroys it, right?
Hmm.
The Leafs are exactly that character, that Tom Cruise character. They had a bad accident and they're not over it. And it takes a moment in time for them to realize that they're good hockey players and they can play hockey again. And I saw it in Chicago. They just said, enough is enough. Let's go out and play hockey. And they grinded and grinded and grinded and started scoring goals. And
Yeah.
so, it takes a little bit of time, but these guys are too good to throw this season away too early.
And the good thing about this season is we have a full 82 game schedule, so there is still time to make it up.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah, it's definitely, they have I think the next 5 games are at home, and they got Vegas, LA. Hold on, I have it on my phone. I was just looking at
hmm.
it. Like they had Vegas, LA, and I was like, oh, this next 5 games is gonna it's gonna tell us a lot about this team because, okay, so the next game is Detroit, then it's Vegas.
Oh, Detroit, Vegas, Tampa,
Detroit's playing so
Bruins,
good right now too. Yeah,
and
Detroit,
then
Vegas,
Kings.
Tampa, Boston. I was like, oh my god. There's no easy nights in the NHL. Like there is no
That's a
time. There's
brutal
no good
schedule.
time to be slumping.
Yeah.
Like there's no good time to go into a slump, because it's like
Oh,
you let your guard
yeah.
down, and the Sabres, like the Tampa Bay Lightning, were like, off night, guys. We're just gonna win because we're Tampa. And
Hmm.
Buffalo came out, and Craig Anderson was like,
They're
okay,
ready to play.
yeah, it's who knew Jack Eichel was holding the Sabres back? Doesn't it
Dude,
seem that way? The guy
right?
leaves, and all of a sudden they're winning games.
They were undefeated. That's
You
the
can't
sad
trade for
part.
Jack Eichel right now. He's gonna bring down your
Yeah.
team.
Yeah, pretty much.
But still, I
Yeah.
would trade him for Mitch Marner right
You would trade Marner for anyone, dude.
now. No, not just for anyone. They have to have a pulse. They have to have a driver's license. They have to have a valid passport. They
And they
have
have to
to
be from Toronto.
they have to be able to skate and you know, no jersey tuck. You got to keep your mouth guard in your mouth. I don't like it out to the side the way Marner.
Dude, the jersey tucks, I miss those. Like Ovi used to
I
rock
know
the mean one.
they don't let you tuck in jerseys anymore,
Crosby.
man. It sucks. I
What
think
was what's the
Ovi's
official
I
reasoning on
think
that?
Ovi's the only one that actually gets to tuck his jersey and nobody says anything to him.
Okay. So I haven't even seen Ovi the last time he tucked his jersey.
Bro, Ovi's off to a great start. I think he has like
Oh,
four.
that's awesome.
He has.
Yeah.
I think he has like 4 or 5 goals already.
I think he has 6 goals.
He has 6 goals
He's
already.
leading the game.
Jesus.
Something like that, yeah.
I'm looking at the stats
Good for him,
right
man.
now.
I want him to at least push Gretzky. That'd be kind of cool. He could pass Hull in the next
He's gonna
couple
he's gonna
games.
push Gretzky, but I
Yeah.
just don't think he's gonna get a. He needs like 160 goals. Like
Dude, anything's possible now. I was a little skeptical, a year or two ago. Like, dude, this guy's getting old. This contract's getting like coming up. Um, you know, but this guy wants to play and he could still play. So he has no signs of slowing down.
I don't think it was ever. I never thought he was just gonna get old and stop scoring goals. I just thought like 160 in the NHL is a lot to score. Like 40 times 4 years is 160 goals. Like you think he's going to score 40 goals for 4 years consecutive? I just think it's the sheer number is too high.
So that's what I'm saying. If he signs another 4-year, 5-year extension,
But he's already
uh,
isn't he already 36 or
he's
37?
something like that. He's old, dude. Like
Bro,
that's
he's a
that's the
Jason
scary part.
Spezza. He's gonna
That's the
be
scary
at
part.
work when this contract ends. He's gonna be just signing on for 750, just going for just any team that will sign him. He's like, I'm
Yeah,
42. He's gonna
I'm
be
getting
younger,
this.
like 45, and he's gonna be like just like 750. I need to get the Gretzky.
Like he's just bouncing from team to team,
Yeah,
just trying to get to
yeah. He's like
the points.
750 minimum. Let me just. He has 8 goals already.
Yeah, man. I freaking love Spezza so much. I want to get like a jersey of him too. Like that's the
Yeah,
next person I'm getting.
I have 4 blank jerseys upstairs.
Yeah.
One is an Arenas jersey.
Ooh.
One is a St. Pat's jersey, and then 2 of them are just regular home and away jerseys. And
Hmm.
Jason Spezza's nickname is Vintage,
Vintage. Yep.
so the Arenas jersey is gonna say Jason Spezza.
Nice.
But I had last year I was gonna put Thornton on one of them, or I was gonna put Simmons on one of them. But
Nah,
then now that like Morgan Riley signed for another 8 years, I gotta get Riley on there.
that's dedication.
I
Yeah.
got to get Riley on there. This guy's going to be drafted and he's going to retire on Maple Leaf. Mad respect to Morgan Riley.
Yeah.
Anybody who hates on Morgan Riley has to come and talk to me because I will go to bat for this guy. I don't care if he has 2 points and he makes $10 million. I love this guy.
Hmm. Yeah.
No
And like,
nonsense. Takes the discount. Signs 2 weeks into the season. No hassle. No negotiation. He just says, "It is what it is. I want to be here. I don't want to go anywhere else." Tessa Virtue and me are gonna live in.
Tessa.
Me and Tessa Virtue are gonna live in Toronto, and we love the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Absolutely, man.
You know Tessa had a hand in this, right? Don't think
Probably.
she's die
Definitely.
hard. She's
Yeah.
die hard. She's like, "You're gonna go play for the Vancouver Canucks? I don't want to talk to you no more."
I think don't they live? Okay, so Riley's from BC, right?
He's
And
from
then
yeah,
Tess.
yeah. They hang out in like North BC in the off seasons
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He goes back home, obviously, so she hangs out with him there. But
Hmm.
she lives and works out of Toronto. She travels all over, and he travels with the Toronto Maple Leafs. He's not around all season, so like. But
He's a simp.
today he said like he was on TSN, he was on Overdrive on TSN, and
Yeah.
he's like, I thought about it to myself. I'm like, Toronto's home.
Of course.
You know why? Because his future wife and kids are gonna be born in. She was born in Toronto. She was raised in Toronto. His kids are going to be born in Toronto's home.
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is. Mad respect
Yeah.
to the guy for keeping it real. No bullshit.
There's
All
one
these
thing.
defensemen getting $9 million. I was so
Yeah.
scared.
Yeah, that was a big thing that I was kind of worried about is next year, what were we gonna do if Riley probably walks? I honestly thought he was walking. Leafs are not gonna trade him at the deadline because we need him for the playoffs. So I was like,
I,
yep, he's
I'm
gonna walk to
I
Vancouver,
sat
sign like
down
a
and I did some
7, 8.
serious cap crunching.
Yeah.
Soon as that number came out, I was like, okay, so the cap is going up by 1 million.
Hmm.
Kessel's 1.2 comes off. That's Riley's raise of $2.5 million. Okay, so that's already covered. So
Riley.
Riley goes from 5 to 7.5. The cap goes up by 1 million. Kessel's 1.2 comes off, and that's almost $1.5 million. You're $300 short, but it's okay. So I'm like, Riley's raise is covered,
Hmm.
but you have like six or so players that you have to sign, and you only have $8 million to do it. And so you really have to think about it. Like there are players on this roster that unfortunately are somewhere in the middle, and Kerfoot is one of them. And I think at the end of the day, like depending on where the Leafs are at the trade deadline, you're gonna see something. You're gonna see something happen. So
Hmm.
if the Leafs are not contenders and they're just mediocre at the trade deadline, I think you're gonna see a team pick up Kerfoot, and the Leafs are gonna be like, we'll hold on to half the salary.
Of Kerfoot.
Yeah, like I think he's only got like
I think 2 years left, right? Because he signed a 4-year deal back when we traded for Barry.
yeah,
Um, I honestly I don't know if the Leafs are in a position to retain any salary
they could do it.
because
But
they had
because
such
they
a
have
bad.
to go into the off season and they have to grab LTIR contracts.
Mhm.
Going forward, there's no way the Leafs can operate if they don't have some LTIR bonus to work with.
Man, I'm still pissed that
Yeah,
we
Kerfoot's
lost
got
to
this
Adam.
season and he's got one more season after this. So
Yeah.
and then you have like so you have Kerfoot at 3.5, you have Richie at 2.5,
Hmm.
and then you have Camp at 1.5, like Ingval and Mikheyev at 1.25.
Yeah.
It's not anything substantial. Like you can move all these guys and bring in, you know, Marley's players that are good. Like you got Lilligren. Um, I think Dermot's already on a $900,000, 1 point something $1 million contract,
Yeah.
1.5.
1.5. Yeah.
And so like you have Nick Robertson and you have what's it called? What's his name? I forgot his name. What's his face?
SDA.
SDA, and thinking about the two.
Rodion.
Rodion Amarov is going to be here soon, but
Two years.
I was more thinking about who's the kid that we brought in on the tryout contract?
Gabriel. Joey Anderson.
Not Joey Anderson. What's
Uh,
his name?
is it a
The guy
forward?
from the New York Islanders, Josh Hosang.
Oh, Hosang.
So we
Yeah.
have
Where is he?
Hosang is with the Marlies right now.
I don't see him in their system.
For real?
Josh Hosang. Is he injured?
No,
I don't even see him in the
he's not
non-roster
in
players.
Cappy.
I don't see him on. I'm looking at Cap Friendly right now.
Oh,
Josh Hosang, forwards.
what? That's weird. He was.
Is he on a different site? Maybe it's not updated.
I don't know. I know he signed an AHL contract, so
He did, yeah.
I know he did play a couple of games. I saw him play for the Marlies. The game was on TV and he was dressed.
Hmm.
Maybe there's something weird going on. But
Yeah.
in general, like they have players that can come up and fill that third and fourth line without the Leafs losing much. But at the end of the day, they're I just don't see the Leafs being able to keep the top four intact. Eventually, when all these contracts have to get re-signed, you know, one of the four has to go. You can't give Nylander a raise while you still have Tavares at 11, Matthews at 11.6,
Hmm.
and Marner at 10.9. Like one of
Yeah,
those contracts has to go.
I think the most likely one to get traded would probably be Nylander because it is the easiest to move. But I think the most like the contract that they want to get rid of the most is probably Marner.
Yep.
Uh, but just because that cap hit is it's so massive that
No, the thing about the
it's
NHL is, regardless of what the
so
cap hit
tough.
is, there's tons of teams out there that you can sell on any player. Like, let's be honest, Chris Drury, Scott Gomez, all these horrible contracts that were signed at 8, 9, $10 million when the cap first started. All these guys got traded. All these guys got moved when everybody said that these contracts are not movable.
Hmm.
Kovalchuk got traded. Like, at the end of the day, contracts are all movable. I don't believe there's any contracts that are not movable in the NHL, especially when you have so many teams with so much cap space right now. It's not like there's no teams out there with cap space. There's teams out there with cap space.
Would have been
Eh,
kind of cool to see Kovalchuk sign a deal with the Leafs, league mid,
imagine,
but I
imagine
think he went back to
Kovalchuk
Russia.
plays on left wing on Matthews' line. That'd be
That
amazing.
would have been awesome, dude. Kovalchuk's a legend, man. Used to watch him. I watched him back when he was on the Thrashers with
Yeah, he was
Bufflin, I think
vicious on
Wheeler.
this.
Oh,
Oh,
that team.
Lego's on the chat. Hey, Lego, what's up? He's like, I miss you, TML.
What's up,
And
buddy?
miss the chats.
It's been a while.
How about them Senators, eh?
Dude, they're doing well.
It turns out Matt Murray knows how to play goal.
Dude, like every time I think about the
Two
Sens, I'm like,
nothing Ottawa. Are they playing
their
right now?
goals. Are they?
Dude, we're missing a great game right now.
Oh, of course the Hurricanes are winning. 6-2. Oh
Oh,
my God.
attaboy
The
Freddie.
Hurricanes.
Attaboy
Oh, it's
Fred.
Ranta. It's Ranta.
Oh, it's
But
Ranta.
it's
See, this is
still,
what did I tell you about them winning the Jennings this year?
dude, Tony D'Angelo has 3 points. Oh,
You
Jesus.
know it's a bad
This
situation when
guy.
Tony D'Angelo's lighting you up.
That's that's
Oh, they
insane.
put Lankinen back in net. It's not even Marc-Andre Fleury.
Yeah, man. What's up with Flurry, man? Like he just not
Yo,
having a good
there's a
season.
reason why Fleury contemplated retirement when they traded him to Chicago. He knew the situation in Chicago, and he's like, maybe I don't want to play there.
Hmm.
And he's a smart guy. He's got a good read on the NHL, and he's like, if I go there and I get lit up, I don't want my career to end like that. And
And
then
like that,
you think
exactly.
about everything that's going on in Chicago right now. Like,
Hmm.
I'm so disgusted about the stuff that came out from Chicago, man. Like,
Hmm. It's
I'm
insane how
thankful.
it took 11 years for it to come out.
That's
And
it's
like nobody did anything about it. Which is that's
all
insane.
the. But you know what? Like, if you were protecting a star player like like Taves or Kane, I get it. But the video guy, you telling me you couldn't get another video guy and you couldn't out this guy? What is the? How does this guy break down video that he's that amazing? Bro, I'm pretty sure I can break down video at a very high level if you hired me in the NHL today. Like, I can watch the leap. I'll break down a hockey game for you like no one's ever broken down a hockey game.
Hmm.
But now their championships are tainted. They have this huge black cloud over their franchise. They're still called the Blackhawks in a world where the the native community is like, you can't have that logo and that name. Like, there's so much going on with that franchise. That's why Marc-Andre Fleury was like, I can't go there. It's not Fleury's fault that he's letting in these goals. The team sucks.
No, and that's yeah, like it sucks that the Leafs were almost about to lose to that team. Not just because of that, but like
Like
There's
I
so
got
many other
so
factors.
excited when they said Fleury's on the move. I said, if Dubas has any cojones, if this guy has
They go for
balls, if
Flurry.
this guy has balls of steel, go and get the Brent Seabrook contract from Chicago. Open up LTIR cap space and put this guy's entire contract on LTIR, and then you have Flurry for free. You know what I'm saying? And it literally, your cap doesn't go up or down, and it stays exactly the same. You trade for the Brent Seabrook contract, and then you go and get Flurry, and then you don't, and then you got a $1 million goalie in Campbell, a $1.6 million goalie, and they can play together. If Flurry needs a night off, Campbell can more than good enough to play that role. But they could even
Yeah,
split it 50-50 at that point. I just wanted Marc-Andre Fleury in Toronto because that would be a feel-good story.
that would be kind of cool.
He would
But I
come
don't know
here
if
and
he
he'd be
has
like,
any.
that
That's
smile of his. I love that
He'd be a
smile.
legend. He would,
He,
dude. Everyone would buy
he
Flurry
would be
jerseys
a
like
legend.
right
That
away,
jersey would sell out in
instantly.
days.
Yeah, that would have been a really crazy. But and like the thing was, Chicago got him for very cheap. It was like pretty much nothing, right? It's like a seventh round pick or something. I don't
Yeah,
remember
because
exactly what the trade
because they
was,
were
but
picking up a $7.5 million contract.
contract, yeah. And
But
Vegas needs to get rid of that too.
Vegas needed the cap space. They can't be
They
spending
needed that.
$14 million on goalies, and they needed the cap space. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But
Trade Flurry at the trade deadline to any contending team for a first round pick.
bro, who's gonna
Chicago
trade for
has no
Flurry when
first.
he's got an 850 save percentage?
Yeah. I mean, it could be also because of the team in front of him, but like you said,
But at the end of the day,
there are
like a
teams that could use him.
contending team, like let's say Tampa already has a goalie.
Yeah.
Florida has two good goalies. The
Montreal.
Leafs already have. Montreal's not a contender. Stop it right now.
No, I'm not saying contender, but like I'm saying that's a team that would need a goalie because of the price situation, right?
No,
Like
they're gonna be so out of the playoffs. Montreal and the Sabres are gonna be done by Christmas.
I think Sabres are done by the end of the week, man. They're gonna drop off
Lego
soon.
saying I'm pretty much talking about Edmonton. Yeah, I don't see how they could work cap wise. It's a huge cap hit, $7.5 million. The Oilers are real tight.
Yeah,
Koskinen in return. Ooh. I don't know anyone that wants to take on that 4 million, four and a
I
half
think four and
million.
a half. Yeah, Koskinen. Was that like
But
the last contract that what was it? Shirelli signed and then he dipped.
good
Shirelli or
old
Holland? Nice.
Pete Shirelli.
Yeah, but yeah, that's the
No, it's
updates for this last couple weeks. I mean, season's been okay so far. Not good, but
yeah. I
let's hope for
think
better
we
results.
saw a little bit of it this summer. People started trading money for money, and contracts were starting to move around a little bit.
Hmm.
And as the cap starts going up by 1 million this year and million next year, I think people are going to start um, moving contracts a little bit more freely.
Hmm.
I think it's one of those things where teams are going to be like, okay, I'll take this guy and you retain this much. I'll give you this. I think GMs are becoming more accustomed to just, if I have to move this guy, I'm gonna have to sacrifice a little bit of this guy, like I'm gonna have to keep a little bit of that salary and just sign someone cheaper, right? Like
Hmm.
we saw this off season, like Freddie signed for 4.5, Mrazek got 3.8. um people unless you're a superstar, everyone's signing for cheap. Hoffman signed for cheap. you know, is a bunch of mid-level contracts being signed because the flat cap is causing contracts to get cheaper.
Hmm. Yeah, I
Maybe,
think. Yeah.
but yeah, I don't. When it comes to working the cap, I know Dubas is good at the numbers.
Hmm.
I'm sure they'll figure something out, but this
I mean, they
trade
got
this trade deadline is going to be very interesting because the Leafs will have to make moves if they want to win a round.
so that's the thing. Like the Leafs always make moves, but nothing happens. So
No,
I
I
think
don't. I
this year
don't
we
think.
just don't make any
So
moves.
last year was the first time they really went for it, like
That
traded
is
first round picks.
first round, right?
I have never seen Dubas talk about I'll trade Rodion Amarov. I'm like I thought he was untouchable. Then all of a sudden he's like I'll trade anybody to win a round or a cup.
I'm just happy we didn't get rid of him, man, because we lost that first rounder. We lost Riddich. Man, that was we lost in the playoffs. Oh, so much
McDavid is
losing.
doing amazing. Yeah, of course
David
McDavid
is,
is doing
dude.
amazing. What else did you expect was
What
gonna
else does he
happen?
do? Yeah, it's
The
like
Rangers
water
are up
is.
4-0 on Columbus.
That's good to hear.
Seven.
Lafreniere looks like he's picking it back up, like picking it up
Listen,
now.
let's
Like
be honest about Alexis Lafreniere.
Alexi.
He's gonna need a couple of years. Like, look at the way Hughes is playing in New Jersey this year.
Yeah,
He's a renewed guy.
he
He
is.
got some time in the off season. He worked on some stuff. Two shortened seasons with a shortened off season. It really hurt development. It really hurt development of some players.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, well, fortunately, this off season it's been April to October. They got a decent amount of time.
Hmm.
And you see, Hughes coming out of the gates and he's playing good. I think Lafreniere is going to need a couple of years, like the way Hughes needed a couple of years.
Yeah, and
Even
yeah,
though you can see the talent is there, the hands are there, I think they're going to need a couple of years to get accustomed to this NHL. This NHL is different. Everyone's fast, everyone shoots you see the puck come off some of these kids' sticks. Like when Stutzler shoots a wrist shot,
I love it, man.
I have to pause it on my TV and be like, where I have a 75-inch TV. I'm like, where's the puck? I can't see the puck. This kid, when he
Yeah.
shoots wrist shots, it goes off the post and out. And I'm like, I need a slow-mo replay. I can't see where the puck is.
Hmm.
The kid's got a ridiculous shot.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. Yeah, I think we've covered all the topics we need to talk about this week.
Yeah. 1 hour and
Uh,
16 minutes this episode.
yeah, had a few viewers. I think Lego tuned in. Maybe next time we'll give like a
I
heads
think
up.
one night we need to pick a game. I don't know if it's a Thursday night game or a Saturday night game.
Yeah,
We do a live stream where we watch the game
that'd be kind of cool.
and then we have a beer while we're watching it and we talk about the game live.
I'm down. Let's do it. Let's look at upcoming games. Let's try to decide a schedule here. Leafs. So if we do a Saturday, that would probably be what was
I know tomorrow they play, but I'm busy this weekend,
yeah,
unfortunately.
same here. Um, how about Leafs at Sabres? What is November 13th? Is that
November 13th.
is that a weekend?
That's
Please tell
gonna
me
be
that's a week.
rough. It's a back-to-backer too. Oh my God, we're at home against Calgary, and then we're in Buffalo the next night.
I mean,
That's gonna be a rough game.
what is it 13th a weekend?
Yeah, it's a Saturday.
Oh, dude, yeah, we gotta watch that game. Because if we lose, it's gonna be catastrophic. If we win, it's just gonna be like, let's
I don't
go.
know if the world is ready to be like live witnessing me lose my shit for a Leafs
Against
game when they're
Buffalo.
losing.
That would make for a good video.
All right, so tentatively we'll do November 13th versus the Sabres, and they're on the road.
Sounds
It's
good.
a back-to-back, so it's either going to be it'll probably be like Mrazek if both goalies are healthy. It'll probably be like a Mrazek. Calgary is on fire. I wonder if they would play. Yeah, most probably they would play Campbell at home,
Campbell.
which would
That's
give
what
them
I
the
think.
chance to win, and then the back-to-back would be Mrazek. Yeah.
Yep. All right. Sounds good. Lego, make sure you bring all your buddies to the stream, man. We're all
It's a shame the Leafs don't play Ottawa on a Saturday night. We could have watched the Leafs Ottawa Senators game. Lego
yeah.
would have been on there screaming.
Yeah. All right, man.
All right. Thanks everyone for tuning in.
Thanks,
And
guys.
it was pretty productive. We talked about a lot of different things. There's a lot going on in the NHL right now.
Dude, we didn't even get into the Evander Kane thing. That's a that's like a story, man. Like,
See, that's a really tough situation, man. Like they're trying to null and void his contract.
yeah, well, I'm not surprised, right?
But legally they don't really have like a leg to stand on, but the NHL said 21 games he's suspended, so it's a tough situation. He's gonna have to go into the dressing room and talk to the players and be like, "Listen, guys, I'm sorry," but they're like,
The
first there was
players
the
don't like him.
first there was the wife abuse thing, and then there was the you gambled your money away situation, and then you were betting on the game. Like
And then
that's
no,
way too much, man.
there's
That's
also like an assault case in Buffalo that came up from 2015. Like,
listen, man. It's hard to be doing anything in hockey in Buffalo and not get into a fight.
yeah, man.
Every single time, and so every year in March, I plan a trip with a bunch of people, and we go down to Buffalo and watch the Leafs play because they're out of the playoffs and their season ticket holders sell like 5 rows behind the glass for $80.
Oh, that's awesome, dude.
Like literally, I was point blank. Me and my wife and a bunch of friends. We drove down to Buffalo. We were like 3 or 4 rows behind the glass, like right on the goal line, and we were sitting right in front of the Buffalo goalie, and he let in like 5 goals in a period. It was the best game I've ever been to in my entire
Five
life.
goals in the
All we did
period.
was cheer and like it was happy. And then the guy beside me was like, "Where did you get these tickets from?" I'm like, I know this is like a season ticket holder section, so he probably knows everybody in the section.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he's like, how did you get these tickets? I'm like, hey man, I went online on a website and I bought some tickets.
It's because like the season ticket holders don't even
He
want
was
them. Like,
upset. He's like,
right?
it's like I got to call up Dave and be like, hey man, what are you selling your tickets to Leaf fans to be all happy in front of me?
Yeah,
Man, but I'm not the kind of guy that gets disrespectful to other fans in their own stadium. Like
yeah.
my team could be winning 10-1. When they score, I get up and I cheer and I go woohoo and I slap the glass, and when the players celebrate, I slap the glass.
Hmm.
But I don't look to the guy next to me and I'm like, suck it. Like I'm not one of those guys. Like I
Yeah,
have never been like disrespectful like that. I
and
hate it when
that's
fans do that.
that's kind of the same thing. Like, I'll even get annoyed at like some Leaf fans that do that too in other arenas. Like, come on, dude. Like, just be courteous.
Just cheer the
Like, you could
goal, be
troll.
happy, sit down and enjoy your
Yeah,
drink.
you could troll, but like to a certain amount, right? Like, don't do it as to the point where everyone's just like super pissed off at you, right? And they'll
Only
go
one
online
time
and
did I get into it with a
oh,
fan, and I was like in the stadium watching the Leaf game at home, and this Montreal Canadiens guy was sitting next to me, and he was talking to me about Matt Sundin.
mhm.
And he's like, Matt Sundin wanted to come to the Montreal Canadiens, and if Matt Sundin, he hated Toronto. I'm like, bro, you're talking about a guy who chose to resign every single time and stayed here, and he retired here as the captain, and he set all sorts of franchise records. I don't know where you get these rumors from, but because it didn't happen, you can't tell me it's true, right?
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I'm like, your team's losing. Pay attention to what's going on, guys. And Montreal
Yeah.
Canadiens got lit up that night, and I just and every time they scored, I would turn to my wife, and he was sitting on the other side. I turned to my wife. I go, Matt Sundin used to score a lot of goals like that, and the guy would just after every goal, I would say something about Matt Sundin, and he just kept getting more ticked and ticked and ticked. And I'm just like, bro, you started chirping me for no reason. I don't know you. I didn't even look at you, right? He was
Yeah.
literally like, it was me, one empty seat, and then the guy was on the next seat.
Hmm.
And I'm like, if you're gonna chirp me when your team is losing on the ice, I'm sorry, bro. It's gonna be a rough night for
It'll be
you.
a rough night for you.
It's gonna be a rough night because if you want to engage, all day I could go all day.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it's good times, man. I miss being at the stadium.
Yeah. Well, everything's opening up soon,
I've
so
uh I've been
hopefully we'll.
contemplating buying tickets to go to the Leafs this year, and I know so many people with season tickets that give them to me at face value. So like I've been contemplating going, but then they had the rough start, and I'm like, do I really want to go to a Leaf game?
Watch them lose in person.
I'm okay with being mad at home, but I can't be mad in the stadium. Like
No.
I got like a year and a half of like built up frustration with the
Yeah.
playoffs and everything. If I go in the stadium and they blow one out, I might jump the glass.
Yeah.
I'll run up to Keith myself and be like, "What the hell are you doing here, man?"
Yeah.
If I make it to the players bench without getting like tackled or knocked out, Keith is gonna hear something from me.
Hmm.
I'd be like, "No way, sir. You are not doing this on my dollar. I paid good money to be here." I'm one of those guys. When I go to Blue Jays games and Leaf games, like I say stupid stuff out loud and it just makes everybody laugh around me. I don't ever say anything inappropriate because there's always kids around, but
There's
like
always kids, yeah.
I'm always saying stuff. Like I always like I went to a Blue Jay game this year. I said, you know what? They're playing good. I'll go to a Blue Jay game. And I went and like they were playing Boston. No, was it? Was it Boston? Yeah, I think it was Boston.
Hmm.
I was like, no, it wasn't Boston because it was Mookie Betts. And Mookie Betts is like he plays in LA, right? No,
I
it
don't know
wasn't
much
even
about
Mookie Betts. It was somebody
baseball.
else. I always look at the lineup when it's on the big screen and then I come up with a nickname for every player.
Hmm.
And like I go on. I have a few beers and it just all comes to me in the moment. Like I become like a with the best comedian with the best jokes. And I have a couple of you. I just keep making names and funny stuff, and people were laughing around me. I'm like, man, I miss it being in a stadium with a lot of people. I was only there when there was like 15,000 people, but like once
Hmm.
they opened it up to like 30,000, I would have loved to have been there. Oh,
Yeah.
that was a real nice atmosphere at the end when they were kicking butt. Too bad they didn't make the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's a team that could have surprised some people in the playoffs and done some damage.
They were
So
close, right? I think
yeah, I
they
mean,
missed
like
about
I
a
think
couple
they
points.
closed it out with some big wins, but unfortunately, like the other teams they were chasing just kept winning too. So it is what it is. But like they were like it's the last game of the season. I think they scored like 10 runs. Like they ended the season on a 10-1 or 10-2 game where they were just clubbed the other guy. But
Yeah.
they play in a division with Yankees and Red Sox. It's impossible to make the playoffs. You either
Hmm.
have to win the division or somehow take a wild card spot from some of these. It's a very tough division where the Jays are right.
Right. Yeah.
Hopefully they'll
All
spend some money in the off season. The Blue Jays
right.
they need to
Yeah,
spend like
maybe we
a
can.
couple $100 million.
And baseball doesn't even have the
They have luxury
salary cap.
tax. They have a luxury
They have
tax.
luxury. It's like NBA. I wish NHL had that, man.
Well, NBA is a different luxury tax, but like baseball, there's just like the NBA cap is one of the most complicated things. It unbelievable the amount of rules in an NBA cap. But baseball is just simple. Spend whatever you want. As soon as you go over a certain number, it's a dollar for dollar tax. So if you spend 20 million over, you got to pay 20 million in tax.
Damn.
If you spend 50 million over, you pay 50 million in tax. And there's some teams every year they're in the luxury tax, right? But the Blue
Hmm.
Jays, if they want to sign Ray and sign Simeon, and eventually they're gonna have to give like Guerrero and Bichette and all these guys extension. They have no choice but to be way into the luxury tax
Yeah.
if they want to be a good team. I mean, honestly. But yeah, all
Yeah.
right. Thanks for joining me for this episode.
Thank you.
It was good.
Thank you.
And November 13th, we're gonna watch a hockey game together. It's gonna be good.
Yes, sir. Gonna watch Sabres live.
Hopefully I get my TV back by then. My 75-inch Sony has a problem.
Uh-oh.
And Best Buy's like one of our guys is gonna pick it up and take it for testing and bring it back because I have the 4-year warranty on the TV, right?
Okay.
They're like, yeah, we're just gonna open it up and replace all the motherboards inside. I'm like,
What?
hold on a second. This is a $4,500 TV. If you're gonna be
Jeez.
opening up and changing motherboards, you best guarantee that this is gonna work, or you just gonna give me a new TV because I
Yeah.
don't listen. I'm a computer engineer and I know motherboards and stuff like that, but I'm like, you have to redo the operating system and everything. Very sketchy. It's one thing if you're just changing the panel or like just the glass or the LCD. That's easy. You take it off, put it on. You're good to go.
Hmm.
This guy's gonna change the power board, and there's 3 motherboards inside. I saw him, but
Jeez. Was
um,
it like what was wrong with it? It just doesn't turn
so
on
it,
or
it it turns off at random times.
mm.
So there was a time where it turned off and then it wouldn't turn on, and then reinstalled the operating system and that made it work. But now it's like it just I'm watching the game and all of a sudden it turns off and it reboots itself.
Mm.
So there's definitely something is corrupt.
Okay, gotcha.
All right, buddy.
All right, man. That was episode 2.
Episodes 2 of season 2.
So we'll see you guys
We're
back in
getting there.
a couple weeks here. November
Yeah.
13th.
Yeah, November 13th, we'll do our next episode and join us for the Leafs versus the Buffalo Sabres. It's going to
All
be a
right,
good
guys.
time because you're either going to watch us lose our shit or you're going to be watching us cheering the Leafs on. So either way, it's a win-win for you guys.
Yeah.
All right,
All right,
everybody.
guys.
Peace out.
Take care.